Hello, I'm Carla, your millionaire mistress, and welcome back to my channel. I apologise that I haven't been around for a while. There's been a ton of stuff going on, and on top of that ton of stuff, I looked like I'd been dragged through a hedge backwards, so there was no chance I was going on the screen, so that's why you had some voiceover AI images for a while. But anyway, so as part of my So You Want to Be a Landlord series, I've had a couple of hideous experiences with tenants recently, and these are prospective tenants, so tenants who are applying for rooms. And one today particularly motivated me to put on my goddamn makeup and get on the screen, and that is this guy who's presenting as a slightly slow special needs tenant, who everything is a little bit dithery and a little bit, oh, I get benefits, oh, I get this, I get that, oh, I've got an injury. But actually, there's something much darker going on. All the communication up front was very professional and precise, and that's fine. Questions were answered, information was forthcoming, and that's all good. I'm an ex-sales director running international sales teams. So when someone's trying to close me to agree something, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm in charge. I decide who does and doesn't live in our buildings. So I let the chap apply, and he said, oh, I'm only temporarily unemployed because we don't take tenants that aren't working. It just doesn't mix well if you try and have a house with working and unemployed people. And then when his application came through, obviously it's ID, proof of income, bank statements, all the usual palaver. And then I thought, this is so weird. I just needed like 3 months of bank statements to verify what his claims were in terms of his income and outgoings and affordability. But he sent me literally like 25 different documents, all with very similar names and typos. And I thought, okay, let's just sort through these systematically. And I got through to the 5th one. I was like, what the hell is happening here? And I just couldn't believe it. One bank statement was 18 pages long. So bear in mind, as a British taxpayer, and this guy is English, he is claiming benefits for being unemployed, number one, and having a disability, number two. However, I couldn't see a disability, and it's meant to be physical. He couldn't tell me where the pain was, why the pain was, when the pain originated, any of the basic stuff. I did anatomy and physiology diploma, so I kind of know a bit about the body. And whatever question I asked him, he couldn't answer. So anyway, so as I'm going through this statement, bear in mind your taxes are paying him between £1,146 and £1,203 a month, every month without fail, since he's feigned this injury. Oh, and also he had 2 bank accounts, one NatWest, one Barclays. And you see that with lots of tenants who have high incomes because they scoop money into the highest earning bank account. But for this guy, it was like smoke and mirrors. The thing that pulled at my heartstrings was every month, his very, very elderly parents are paying him half his rent for the old landlord, so his existing property. So on that, they give him £375 per month every month, even though they are seriously elderly pensioners. And then obviously he's claiming he runs out of money, and he's claiming an extra £80 off them twice. So in total, he's leeching nearly £6,000 a year off his very elderly parents who are about to go into assisted living accommodation because they need help. So I was like, okay, I can't bear this. I literally couldn't bear it. It was like, you know how you're watching a car crash in slow motion and you just think, what? How is this man getting away with it? So I thought I need to speak to the parents because they were going to have to act as guarantor if we accept this tenant. I arranged it, had the call with both parents. Both parents are very elderly, hard of hearing, and a little bit doddery, as you would expect if you're a certain age. So I was doing my best, and my process was, don't upset someone who's elderly. Speak to them, see if A, they understand their obligations as a guarantor, B, they understand how much rent he's going to be paying, plus his obligations under the terms of the contract. And he's been renting through the same estate agency for a long time. So they wouldn't keep him for a long time unless he paid his rent and was a decent tenant. So part of me is like, don't get involved in family business and just take the rent and rent the room. And the other part of me is Mrs. Morality is the only thing I can think of, where I'm like, this is bullshit. This man is fleecing his parents who are elderly, and he's ripping off you as taxpayers because his universal credit payment, I think, should be stripped from him, because every month he is gambling and the income going through his bank account. So bear in mind, he's getting about $535 from his parents plus $1,200, say, from universal credit. So he's in for like $1850 every month as just normal income, which the affordability would be fine. Plus, every single month without fail, there is an additional £5,000 to £8,000 going through his bank account. So I'm like, what the hell's going on? How is this man even eligible? And he's applied for the extended benefits, which is PIP when you have an injury, and he's blatantly not injured. He's a lazy ass sitting on his backside gambling all day on apps on his phone. And on the day I met him, he even said, oh no, look, I've only got Sky Bet left now. Oh, I took off Ladbrokes and William Hill and all of these other names that I never even heard of. I was proud that I never even heard of them. And I said to him, we don't have gamblers, and we don't have people that can't afford to live in the house, and we don't have people that are unemployed. So either you fix something quickly or you can't come and be our tenant. That's it. Very straightforward. But anyway, so I told the parents. When I spoke to the mum, she didn't understand. She was very hard of hearing. And the man had specifically told me, oh, my dad's ill, don't speak to him. What he meant was, my dad understands everything you tell him, so please don't tell him anything. So I spoke to the mum, she got confused, put me through to the dad. And I said to the dad about their guarantor obligation, so this is just early stages, do they understand what it is? Have they got the income to sustain it? And he said, yeah, we've paid all this money all this time, 8 years or whatever. And so I said, okay, I just want you to understand that as this person has a gambling habit, there may come a time when they get in trouble and you may need to pay the bills on their behalf. Do you understand that? And the dad was like, what the F? But at that time, he was irritated and he got off the phone because he said to me, are you sure? And I said, yeah, I see bank statements. And so he then said to the wife, right, you talk to her, which I did. And then the mum wasn't having any of it. So to begin with, she was like, no, you just take our deposit, take our guarantor position, it will all be fine. And so I came off the phone thinking, I'm not sure this is proceedable because I could be ruthless and just take their money. But this guy is going through tens of thousands of pounds per year, in addition to the money he gets from his mum and dad and the money he gets from us as taxpayers on universal credit. And he's applied for this extra PIP payment for a disability that, quite frankly, I thought, no, he couldn't tell me what it was that was injured. So then anyway, I potter about, do my stuff. As you can see, my office is carnage, but we're just in the final stages of doing this hallway. So then I'll have my gallery wall, yay, which I'll show you when it's done. But when I'd finished wandering around and I came back to the office, I could see that I had 2 missed calls from the parents. I called them back and I thought, ooh, this is not going to be good, but I can only be honest, right? I'm not going to lie for anyone. So I said, hello, sorry I missed your call. And it was the mum. And she said to me, the husband had said that I accused the chap of gambling. And so I said, I'm very sorry, I'm not trying to upset you, but I just need you to understand what you could be in for in terms of outgoings if he gambles 1 month and doesn't pay his rent. And so she was like, he doesn't gamble. So we was on the phone for about 4 whole minutes with her telling me, effectively, I'm a liar. He did gamble years ago. It's nothing to do with me. Just please give him somewhere to live. And I said, I'm really not trying to upset you. He definitely is a gambler, and I can see all his bank statements. And she was like, well, when was that? When was that? That was probably a couple of years ago. And I was like, no, it's like now, this month. Like literally, you see £8,000 going in, £5,000 going in, £6,000 going in. All of these chunks of money, plus losses, obviously. Casinos aren't here to let you win. House always wins. Anyway, I said to her, listen, it's fine. We can leave it here. And she said, no, I really need you to help him. And she admitted that when he was 25 going out with his mates, he effectively burned his way through all of her inheritance from her parents. And I was like, what? So these parents have willingly let their child, one of their children, burn through their inheritance. Now they're burning through the remains of their house for him, and they're going into this assisted living facility. And quite frankly, I find it all tragic. But then it's not surprising, because the young people nowadays have just been raised like lunatics, and they're in this forever childlike state where they think someone's just going to give them a hot milk and some cookies when stuff goes wrong, or they don't want to take accountability and they don't really want to go. I don't want to go to work. Why are you going to make me go to work? That's what I think about that. So my decisions tomorrow will be around whether I want to support such lunacy or not. And also, it's a lot of effort, quite frankly. So for the title of this, Tenant Shenanigans, I would say it's the scammer, because that's what he is. He's ripping off you as taxpayers. He's a benefit claimant. He's trying to go for a PIP payment when he's clearly not disabled. He just doesn't want to go to work. He wants to sit indoors all day, gambling on his phone, and rip off his parents, who have worked all their lives to raise their children so they can leave them something at the end. And this one child is intent on removing that, which I find tragic and pathetic at the same time. I know exactly what I'm going to do, by the way, but I'm still allowing myself 24 hours to process the craziness of the situation. But as a landlord, your decision is, it was none of my business. I could have just politely declined and not told anyone. But at the end of that phone call, when that mum apologised and said, I'm sorry I shouted at you, I know I can be a bit stressed sometimes. And then when she said he'd burnt through the inheritance when he was like 25, and I even said to the dad, do you understand that you pay him this much money? And he goes, yeah, we pay half the rent. And I said to him, no, you're paying more, because I don't know whether the mum is sneaking extra payments, but there's one payment, which is the fixed payment, which is 50% of the rent. Bear in mind, he's in his 40s and should pay 100% of his own rent, especially as that 100% of his rent he is getting free of charge on universal credit. So these are the happy things that you get to face every day being a landlord. And I think I'll leave that there for now. And I think I'll do a separate video on the paedophilic drug dealing criminal who applied for one of our rooms the other day. So happy days, and I hope you still want to be a landlord.